like to use a method called MAM when I factor trinomials. It's multiply to get the first, multiply to get the last, but you have to add to get the middleman or the term in the middle. So let's begin by drawing our parentheses like we do when we factor. And let's ask ourselves, what do we multiply to get x squared? Well, x and x, that's all it could be. What do you multiply to get 6, but add to get 7? Well, that's 6 and 1, because 6 times 1 gives me 6, but a 6 plus a 1 adds to give me 7. This right here, this factored expression, is equivalent to the original, and you can check it using FOIL, multiply, distribute. For example, you can take your answer, x plus 6, and x plus 1, and you can distribute or FOIL. I like to distribute. That means the x is going to multiply to every person. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is 1x. And now the 6 says, okay, now I'm going to distribute through. And 6 times x is 6x. And 6 times 1 is 6. Collect your like terms. X squared plus 7x plus 6. And that checks with that right there. So some teachers will call this reverse FOIL because FOIL checks it. Again, I distribute. That goes to everyone, and that will go to everyone. But you really just did FOIL. See, your first, your outers, your inners, and your last. Now, we won't check everyone with FOIL, but I just wanted to show you on the first time that you could check it if you wanted. Let's take a look at example 2. All right, if you'd like to, pause the video, try it on your own, then start the video back and check with me. Let's use our process. Let's MAM. So I've got to think what multiplies to get n squared, which is n times n. What multiplies to get 35, but somehow adds to get negative 12. So 7 times 5 multiplies to get 35, but 7 plus 5 adds to get 12. Now look at your middleman. That's a negative 12. So in order for this to get negative 12, they both need to be negative. I need a negative 7 and a negative 5 to add to get negative 12. Also, it checks because negative times negative still multiplies to get my positive 35. All right, let's MAM the next one. Pause that video, try it on your own, and then come back and check with me. The things that multiply to get x squared are x and x. The things that multiply to get 40, but somehow add to get 3, would be 8 times 5. Now, look at your middleman. That's a positive 3. So when I'm determining my signs here, I know that the good guys need to win the positive. So I need a plus 8 and take away 5. And again, a positive times a negative multiplies to get a negative 40. Okay, example 4. We're going to MAM. Again, turn the video off, practice, and come back and check with me. On this one right here, so we're going to multiply to get m squared. So that's m times m. Now, I want to caution you on this one. This is one to be very careful about because there are common careful mistakes that students make on this. So if I'm trying to factor this and I'm thinking, well, how about 6 times 4? 6 times 4 multiplies to get 24, and 6 and 4 add to get 10. So you may think, okay, just put negatives on both of them. And negative 6 and negative 4, well, that adds to get me negative 10. However, negative 6 times negative 4 doesn't multiply to give me negative 24. That would have given me a positive 24. So this does not work, and it's a common mistake. Lots of students do that. So let's try again. There's got to be another way. M and M. And then other things that multiply to get 24 but add to get 10. How about trying 12 times 2? Now I do have a negative term right there in the middle, so I need the negatives or the bad guys to win. So let's make it negative 12 and positive 2, because that will also give me a negative 10. And the signs work. A negative times a positive does give me negative 24. Okay, example 5. Pause that video and try for yourself. Okay, so we need to multiply to get b squared. Well, b and b are your only options. And then what multiplies to get 15 but adds to get 8 would be 3 times 5. And look at your middle man. It needs to be a negative 8. So I need 3 bad guys and 5 bad guys to total up to 8 bad guys. And then a negative times a negative does give me the positive 15. Okay, let's look at example 6. This one's a little bit different. On this one right here, first of all, I have to, actually can't do that. I got to rewrite it. So let's rewrite before we try to mam this. So your x squared has to be first. Your positive, notice I'm keeping that sign, that face with that body. Then your 7x, and then your negative 18. And again, bring your sign with your person. Now we can mam. So multiply, add, multiply. The things that multiply to get x squared are only x and x. The things that multiply to get 18 but can somehow add to get 7 would be 9 times 2. All right, look at your middle man. That's a positive 7. So this time I need to have a positive 9 and take away 2. And that also, positive times negative, gives me a negative 18. Okay, let's take a look at number 7. Pause that video and try. Okay, so let's mam. So to multiply to get m squared, it's only m and m. Now, when I think about 51, multiplying to get 51, adding to get 14, these numbers might be a little bit more difficult. You might not just see that right off the top of your mind. So if that's the case, you could go to your calculator and come over here and take your calculator and just start dividing by things. So you take 51 and divide it by 2, divide it by 3, 4, 6. Just divide it by all kinds of things. It's a trial and error. Eventually you'll say 51 divided by 3. And when you do, 17 comes up on the screen. So how you know that you got this right is you're looking at these two numbers right there. You divided by 3 and you got 17. And 3 and 17 can get me a 14. So that's the combination. So 3 and 17. Now look at your middle man. I need positive 14. So therefore, for this to be a positive 14, positives have to win. 17 take away 3 is what will get me 14. And a negative times a positive multiplies to get a negative. All right, let's take a look at example 8. And we want to multiply, add, multiply. Notice on this one you have double letters. We have a squareds in the front. We have b squareds in the back, and since you have a's in the front and b's in the back, that's why you have a b's together there. So we're still going to think what multiplies to get a squared, a and a, what multiplies to get 44, but can add to get 15, so you're kind of thinking of your possibilities. And eventually you'll come up with 4 times 11. But because there's a b, it's 4b and 11b. And then your middle man is 15. So I need them to work together. They're going to be on the same team to add 4 good guys, 11 good guys, same team, adding up to 15. Okay, example 9. Pause that video and try it. I know you can do it. So here we need to rewrite it first because it is so not in the right order. So when I rewrite this, the y squared is first. Keep your face with your body. He's a plus. The y term is next. Keep your face with your body. That's a negative 20y. And then your positive 26. So we will, ma'am, what multiplies to get this. So we know it's just y and y. Now 96 to get 20. This is one that, again, you might kind of have to play with the numbers a little bit. If that's the case, and you can do this on any of them that you need to, just come over here to the side. Is it 1 times 96? Well, let's see. 2 goes into 96 48 times. 3 goes into 96 32 times. And you're, again, looking for all combinations that can somehow add or subtract to get me to 20. 4 goes in there 24 times, and you might be, oh, that might be it. So let's see. If I put a 4 and a 24, and your middleman says, bad guy's got to win, got to have negative 20, so I'll make that negative 24 and plus 4. And so I'm thinking, yeah, I got what I need for the middle term, a negative 20. But this is one of those ones I told y'all I got to be careful on. A positive times a negative does not give me a positive 96. So this does not work. It's one of those you have to watch out for. So let's try again. So it's still y and y. Let's go back over here to the drawing board and think what things can multiply. We said 4 times 24, 6 times 16, but that won't do it. What about 8 times 12? 8 times 12 will also get me 20. So let's try 8 and 12, and we need them to be negative 20 for the middleman, so make them both bad guys. 8 negatives and 12 negatives total up to 20 negatives. And then I also know that my signs work because negative times negative is a positive 96. All right, last one. So we're going to ma'am it. Multiply, add, multiply. Also notice this is double letters so that I have x's and y's to get xy's for the middleman. So I'm going to multiply to get x squared, which is only x and x. I got to think what multiplies to get 20, but adds to get a 1, a negative 1 in fact. So I'm thinking of all my choices to get 20, and 5 times 4. But don't forget the y, so 5y and 4y. Looking at your middleman, that's a negative 1. So I need the negatives to win this battle. So I need a negative 5 and a positive 4, and that's going to give me a negative 1. I also know my signs work because negative times positive multiplies to give me that negative. If you need more help on factoring trinomials of this type, be sure to watch my teaching video on this topic. There you can watch me work and explain more examples. Also, if this video was helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really will help the channel to grow so I can put out more great videos. See you next time.